So for today's What Wednesday question, we're going to talk about what is the hardest thing about RV living for us, for you, for me, for us, for us.
For us.
Okay.
What?
So I'm going to credit this answer to Ditching Suburbia. It's ditchingsuburbia.com. He's talking about how the hardest thing for them was just decision fatigue. And I started thinking about that. We didn't define it that way, but everything we had a hard time with basically led back to that one thing of decision fatigue. And so I'm going to say for us, that's been the hardest part of it, is all the decisions you have to make when it comes to RVing.
When you're living in a house and you have your 9-to-5 jobs, I mean, you go to work, you come home, I mean, you kind of do a routine every day. There's not as many decisions to make because you have that daily routine. For us, we're somewhere different all the time. So like even going to the grocery store is just, you know, where's it at? How far away are we? Where's everything located? We're constantly having to plan out our day and things to do in the area. I know for me that's been because I do most of our like trip planning, so just figuring out logistics and making sure we don't miss any of the big things in an area, because that's the worst when you like go past something and somebody's like, you missed blah blah blah. It's like, oh no. There's so much planning when we're going to so many different places, and you know, making sure you don't miss anything. It's a ton of decisions every day, all day.
Where am I going to sleep tonight? You know,
Yeah.
where am I going to park our vehicle? Where are we going to get water?
How long are we going to stay in an area?
Where are we going to go next? You know, our RV's broken down. What are we going to do? You know, a lot of the stuff you can plan for, but even if you plan it out and you know, just with our style of travel, and it's our choice, we move around, you know, every week or less for the most part, and that's means you have more decisions. You know, if you're staying somewhere a month at a time, there's not as many of those. It's not as bad. I think that would take away a lot of the decision fatigue for us, but we really enjoy moving around. I think we get kind of stir crazy after a week or two, but that's us. I mean,
it's just our personal style, and we've talked about it. If we're ready to slow down, then we can just slow down. So it's not.
Fatigue starts to be too much. The good news is we'll just book somewhere for a month and we'll check out that area and really slow it down. And I guess some ways to relieve this decision fatigue, especially if you travel like us, would be, you know, as I mentioned, staying longer times in one spot. Also just booking out, if you're not going to stay a long time in one spot, another option is just at least book ahead where you're going to stay. Again, we don't do too much of that because we want the flexibility, but with that flexibility comes more decisions. Like it's like as flexibility goes up, so does decision fatigue. I think being prepared would be another thing that would take some of the decisions out of it. When we have broken down, it's a little stressful. I do have some decisions to make, but we've always had roadside assistance, so I kind of know that, hey, worst case decision, if I can't get this part, if I can't figure out what's going on, we're gonna call up our Geico, our insurance provider, which has roadside assistance with it, and you know, the worst case, they'll tow us to where we need to go, and we at least don't have to pay the tow bill. Having insurance, having these things prepared, thinking ahead on things will cut down on some of that decision fatigue, but definitely not all of it.
I know something Nathan has to remind me of all the time. Both of us, we like to get it right, and we like to get it right the first time. And I think that comes with a lot of our decision fatigue, is we just want to make the perfect decision all the time. His saying is, what is it? Making no decision is...
The worst decision is no decision.
Yeah. He'll tell me the worst decision is no decision a lot of times because I struggle with making decisions. There's just so many. And so he has to remind me of that all the time, and that it doesn't, you know, it doesn't have to be the perfect decision all the time. It's not going to be the perfect decision all the time. If I left something out in an area, you know, Nathan would be like, it's okay, we'll see it another time, because I get really stressed out about missing things.
If you're a free spirit type person and you can just, things don't bother you and you don't make plans, if things going wrong or missing things don't bother you, I mean, this video may not be a big deal at all or a struggle for you, but our personalities, that's part of why it's such a big struggle for us, because we want to get it right, and we tell ourselves we don't have to get it perfect, but I think deep down we want to get it perfect. And
I think we have a little free spirit in us, though, too.
Oh yeah.
I think you have to have this lifestyle. If you had to have every single thing planned out and had to go according to plan perfectly, I think this would be very difficult. But I think we like to get things right, but we do have a little bit of a go with the flow. I think that's actually something we've kind of learned along the way. I don't know if we had much of that before.
No, there wasn't much flow before. I think it's like if we decide, because again we made that decision, decide that hey, we're going to go with the flow, we're okay with it. But if we make a decision that something needs to go a certain way and it doesn't, that's where it wears on us. So it's almost like you have to decide that hey, we're going to go to this area, we're just going to, if we don't do anything the whole time, it's okay. If we do tons of stuff, it's okay. If we miss something, it's okay. And we just have to like make that decision before we go in there. It's like a false sense of security, yeah, but it's whatever works for you to help cut down on that decision fatigue.
I would say maybe if you had somewhat of a routine, it would help. It would help cut down on your decision fatigue as well. I know it's a little more tough being on the road to have a daily routine, but like we always go to the grocery store on the same day, or just so that we don't have to make that decision all the time.
If you're working on the road too, having that set time when you're going to work. Like I try to work in the morning for a couple hours. If nothing else all day, I try to have that couple hours in the morning. I get some work done. I do try to work other times during the day as well, but 7 days a week in the morning, I mean, that's one of my set times, and that's cut down a lot of that decision fatigue on when I'm going to work, when I'm going to get things done. I know that, hey, I've got that time in the morning where I can work on that.
Nathan tells me he's going to the office and we can't disturb him, so as long as he's got
tough.
his headphones on.
Yeah, it's tough.
We can't ask him any more questions.
When you're at the office and they can see you, especially your little girl, it breaks my heart. She wants to play with me, and sometimes I just can't. I give in, and I play with her, but anything you set in stone on the road is good because there's a lot of movement going on.
So you can have a routine. I mean, you can get up the same time, go to bed the same time. You can do your workout. I mean, there's definitely a place there for a routine, because I know a lot of people, like, they need that.
And in a sense, there's less decisions on the road compared to when you have to go on vacation from your home, because you have to like think of all the stuff you got to pack, all the things you got to do, where you got to be. If something goes wrong on a vacation, it's super stressful because you only have that tiny bit of time to do that. So in a sense, it's a little bit of a freeing feeling too. But overall, the theme of the video is there's just a lot more decisions to make than we had when we lived in our house, and that gets tough. But it's definitely doable, and there's ways to work around it.
If you got any questions or comments, let us know.